What if I told you that the person you just hired, who you interviewed on your Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, the person that's currently logging into your company Slack doesn't actually exist? We used to worry about hackers taking passwords. Now they're stealing our faces and our voices. We're witnessing the industrialization of deception. From North Korean spies using AI to land remote IT jobs, CEOs cloned in seconds to authorize fraudulent wire transfers. I think we're entered the era of zero trust. But the scariest part isn't just the fraud. It's this liar's dividend. The moment when a real video or of a crime is dismissed by the public because it's probably AI. And it works both ways. So to help us figure all of this out and what this really means, I'm joined by two leading experts from GetReal Labs, Matt Moynahan, CEO, fighting the pixel level war, and Emmanuelle Saliba, the investigator hunting down the fakes. It's going to be an amazing episode. Hope you enjoy it.
So what you see here is really the main entry points. Okay, so our trust is being weaponized today, just like PDFs. Okay, and everything we're talking about right now is digital content. It's really important to remember, right? We're operating at a layer called the human layer, where humans are interacting with humans and eventually interacting with good people or synthetic people. But it's really not just about deep fakes. It's about physical imposters showing up in digital mediums.
Yeah.
That's the first one. Deep fake, human imposter. Today, our default trust has been weaponized in these two ways, right? The right-hand side is a DPRK threat actor. The left-hand side would be a synthetic, truly fake candidate.
And for those that don't know, what's DPK? Just for the terminology.
DPRK, right? That would be the North Korea.
Okay. Oh, fine. Okay. Fine. So the North Korean IT workers that have been.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, and it's happening across voice and video and images on LinkedIn. And then when I go to the next one, I'm sharing with you this. If you look at what's going on, this is the future. It's coming very soon. It's agentic AI. And they're both going to be synthetic. And one of them is going to be bad synthetic because they're copying synthetic people. And it's going to get very, very messy. You already see interviewers using synthetic avatars to conduct pre-screening. Zoom just bought a company to allow you to do AI interviews and summarize meetings and all that stuff. It's not funny.
Yeah, no, it's that.
It's out of control, right? And so that's where you're going to start seeing a lot of the action go, which is it's not just a fake candidate. It's like what shape or form are these people I'm engaging with showing up in? Real human, but bad human, right? Real synthetic, bad synthetic, real synthetic, allowed synthetic. It's just it's a combination that's almost mind-blowing for people that are still getting used to Gen AI.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I actually had a friend who he was interviewing for a candidate, and the interview was great. I mean, he called me up. He said, this guy was amazing. And then he emailed him. He said, what should I do? I said, well, email him and invite him in for face-to-face because you're in the same city and the whole thing. So he emailed him and he said, hey, look, great interview. I'd love to invite you in. And he said, just to let you know, that was my AI avatar plugged into ChatGPT. And he was like, he felt lied to, cheated, embarrassed that he couldn't even tell the difference. So it's definitely helping. I want to speak to you guys, just kind of maybe set context. I want to speak about the fake candidates and these North Korean IT workers. So I want to dive into that, and also this liar's dividend as well. I think there's some really interesting kind of context around that, and then also the synthetic economy. Emmanuelle, we spoke about that when we spoke last time. These AI influencers and all of that. I think it's fascinating. But Matt, I have to admit, I did a little bit of research on you before you jumped on. I saw a podcast you did a while ago, and you mentioned a term which was like, oh my God. And so you mentioned that hackers are no longer just moving through networks, but they're engaging in pixel level lateral movements. What does that mean?
No, it's great. I mean, I think the amazing thing about this threat is that it's all happening right before our eyes and ears. Never before in the history of cyber could we actually witness, unless you were a forensics expert in the network, like watching someone move around. It's just happening in front of our eyes because people are moving from the shadows to the daylight. And so lateral movement in the old days used to mean someone broke into your network and was moving very strategically around the network, location, resources. There's another term called privileged escalation, which is a hacker moving between people to get access to ever increasing important content. A good example would be if someone wanted to get to me, they'd probably try to get to my executive assistant first because she has access to some of my systems. So it's literally people hopping. That's what this is now. People are hopping around, showing up. No one knows what's real or synthetic. And there's really meaningful consequence, right? And so you're going to really see hackers have the ability to hide that needle in a haystack of hybrid synthetic humans and synthetic, real workers and not know the difference. And that's the problem. And that's what we're focused on.
Crazy. Emmanuelle, how can we tell the difference or not? How do we?
Can we tell the difference between?
How do we fake and not
Actually,
fake?
it's funny. Emmanuelle did a post the other day, and she put up, this picture of her controlling a blonde avatar. And I know in a customer meeting, they thought Emmanuelle was the avatar.
But and that actually happened to me as well in one of the videos that I used. So it's a video where I used Kling's motion control, which was the latest model that allows you to essentially impersonate any real living human being or create entirely synthetic identities and control their motion. And it's practically indistinguishable because of you now have this natural human movement to it. And there was one video that I found that I used, and I had no idea who was the human and who was being impersonated. And I had to go back to his account to figure out who it was. So yeah, it's, I would say your eyes are no longer your friends in this.
Well, no, I think the crazy thing too, Emmanuelle, is that I think that model is a Chinese model.
It is, yeah.
The Klings. Can I show you what I did earlier? And this is probably not as good as yours. So if you do have yours, you want to share it. But I literally, just to show people how easy it is, even for me, I've never done it before, and it took me about 2 minutes. And I uploaded a photo of myself, used the Kling model in it. Let me just show you. I mean, this one, you kind of can tell it is not me, but after about 5 minutes of work, it's pretty good. Oh, there you go. So I uploaded a photo, and it just kind of made me into a little bit of a video, which is quite cool.
It's amazing.
That was it.
It's still early days of the technology.
Amazing tech. Even I can do it. And again, like with everything, I think the more you use something, the better you get. With intense use, you get real benefit. And so if you're trying to do this stuff, it's incredibly easy, which is also very worrying. Because to the point, if someone is very good at these tools, and you can show up.
This is what you talked about with the liar's dividend, right? And why things are going to get so confusing. When people refer to the liar's dividend, how do you prove that somebody isn't lying, essentially, right? Fake news, fake whatever. And that's the challenge, because there's legitimate uses for this thing and there's illegitimate uses for it. And anybody can say anything. And how are you going to prove it?
The fake candidate, let me just double click on the fake candidate. And again, I just want to show you an article from Gartner. And you might have seen this, but again, just to give context for people, I'll share the link in the notes. But this is particularly worrying. So 3,000 job candidates Gartner surveyed, 6% admitted to participating in interview fraud, either posing as someone else or having someone else pose as them in an interview. And they predict by 2028, 1 in 4 candidate profiles worldwide will be fake. Which is a... Go on, Emmanuelle.
No, I was going to say, I think we concluded at GetReal that those are actually, it's much higher than 1 in 4. And that's
really much higher than 1 in 4.
The numbers that we're getting straight from recruiters right now on the front lines, it's much higher than 1 in 4. We're already far.
It was 40% plus. I think it was.
Yeah, 41%. We did our own survey, and it was 41% admitted to having hired an imposter, hired a fraudulent candidate. Imposters. Yes. And then when we talk to recruiters, they say it's like not 1 in 4. It's almost like 25% of the, or more. It's like 50% of the people they interview can end up being fake, or one a day is a fraudulent candidate. So it's much higher than is actually being reported.
Interesting. And this is, I guess, is obviously the context is depending on what job you are hiring for.
Yes.
I think there's, if, and again, how much due diligence do you do on people? Because we have a few things here, right? We have interviews. So maybe you've interviewed a fake candidate. Maybe you've hired someone. So this is to kind of place to the North Korean story. You've hired someone fake. Someone else turns up on day one. It's all fully remote. So there's a few kind of
in that paragraph. There are a few things going on. It's like they're the candidates who are applying, who are using AI powered resumes, who are using AI in their technical interviews, who are using AI in their interviews, right? That's one set of issues that HR and recruiters are facing. The second is when you have a candidate that is pretending to be someone else, or doing or going through technical interviews and interviews posing as someone else, and then you have a different person showing up, which Matt can talk about extensively and has spoken to people, companies where that has happened. And then you have the real imposters, the spies, the North Koreans that are interviewing but using stolen identities. American stolen identities, we're seeing now Polish stolen identities are really on the rise. Like European companies are being targeted, and they're coming in and they have real identities, but they're spies. Yeah. Like you said, remote workers, anyone hiring remotely is particularly vulnerable. Anyone who's in IT and technology, developers, engineerings, all of those roles are the ones that we're seeing being the most exposed to this particular threat. So there is that.
Interesting. And are you seeing? Thanks, Emmanuelle, for that. Maybe Matt, interesting. What are you seeing as the main risk that kind of crystallizes from this? Is it theft, bad work? Like, what is?
Yeah,
some of the things
it's really old news is new news here, right? I mean, this is a continuum of intent.
Yeah.
Right. On one end of the spectrum is cosmetic modification. I haven't built a resume in the past 20 years. I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I had one. I'd probably go to ChatGPT. And so
sure.
But there's no malicious intent with that. Right. And you start scooting a little bit to the right, you get into fibbing. Or you get in, fibbing, maybe, saying, hey, I scaled the business from 0 to 500 in 1 year. I know you didn't do that, but you put it on your resume. Or maybe you make your look, appearance cosmetically modified because you're doing a video interview. Then you get over to the right a little bit more and you get into lying, right? Lying is not good, right? You have a fake profile picture, a fake, set of, artifacts that are out there, a paper you said you wrote that you didn't, that was artificially generated, completely generate a resume. Then you get over a little bit more and you have criminal, the intent to commit fraud, employment fraud being one of the most prevalent things, hold down 2 jobs. So you got to have slightly modified 3 personas, right? And then you get to the far right. This is nation state adversaries with the clear intent to harm today or tomorrow, right? During reconnaissance, IP theft, funding regimes. And it's that serious. Right. And so that continuum is what we care about. Everything else is just a tool and a technique and a procedure. AI is in all of them. Right. So AI is an amazing tool. It's the use of it that is the problem. And you're seeing this play out in disinformation, and you're seeing it play out now in attacks on corporations. And it's going to be serious. I hate the term fake candidates.
We also saw it.
Doesn't do it justice, to be honest, with how serious it is.
How would you remarket the phrase? What would you?
Attackers, right? Attackers.
Criminals,
I think criminals. Attackers, criminals, and then I think individuals, right, that are acting on their own for some purpose. And again, the goal here isn't to put a label on everyone, or by the way, if you're a recruiter, to introduce too much bias into the process when you're trying to make a hiring decision, which has legal ramifications.
Yeah.
So that's the
100%.
that's the needle we're trying to thread here, with this.
Yeah,
but it's very serious.
How would you, so just kind of, and then obviously you guys do this, so how would you go about checking if someone's real? Is there some best practice that you need to do? And maybe just also for context, obviously using your tech, or firms that maybe they're small, they can't afford any tech. Is there any kind of like, just from the ground up, basic things that you can do to give yourself a good chance of identifying a criminal?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of techniques. I mean, obviously, there's I've heard some crazy ones now. The old days used to be put a hand in front of your face, right? And now I hear people actually telling people, "Hey, I'm in Europe. Let me see a picture of your outlet." It's like these weird interrupts into an interview just to make sure somebody's telling the truth.
What about stand up and do a dance around or something?
Well, you say you're in Italy. Can you hold up your phone so I can see the clock on your phone? That type of stuff. And that's just wrong. Sometimes comes across as foolish, but important, right? And so, and then I think unfortunately the background check has to be moved to more of a pre-ground check. And that's hard when you're talking about top of funnel, right? You have all the candidates flooding and you can't do a pre-ground check on everything. So there are some automated cursory checks you can do to make sure that, things aren't, obviously fake or obviously manipulated. That's where security intelligence gets in. I think it's really to separate out the nation state adversaries, the criminals that have to be taken out. And that really requires security intelligence to be baked into the recruiting process for the first time ever. Right. And, things like deepfake technologies and others. And then there's just sort of, how do I cull out the top of the funnel so I'm not wasting time? Recruiting is an incredibly expensive and intensive process when you think about global 2000 companies, right? And the ecosystem, so we like to think of this as, the human capital supply chain and how it's got to be treated with the same security precautions as the software supply chain, right? And so different types of supply chains.
Yeah. So something up front, almost like a kind of, opening a bank, and they'll take a photo of your face, you upload your passport or something like that. And then I guess also, given people switch in and out, something ongoing. I mean, how do you know, maybe a real human did interview and you gave that person the job, but then someone else turns up tomorrow with their avatar. I mean, is this something you have to do all the time?
Yeah, the technology behind it's pretty sophisticated. And the goal here is to do it frictionless, right? You don't want to have this interruption or, clunky process with every single candidate. Not only is a candidate not going to enjoy the experience, but the TA professional isn't going to either. You don't want to be doing all this stuff. There's no time for this, and so the importance is really to make sure that we move as an industry from something, right, to something you have found, to just figure out if it's you, right? This is a new type of identity protection in a digital first, remote first world we live in, right? And so the tech really has to be baked in to do it in a seamless way to make sure that, hey, is this person real or synthetic? You can answer that question without, introducing a lot of friction to that process. And then, hey, if I've seen this person before, is it the same person every single time, even though I haven't been in the meeting? That's looking for biometric consistencies, so there's a lot of technology that is deployed at GetReal and obviously developing in the identity space that is designed to stop this problem in a frictionless way, because no one's got the time and money to do it.
No, definitely. The lies dividend. Let's just move on to that, because I think for me this touches on so many things and it works a few ways. So I think the lies dividend, for me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very easy suddenly to say, actually, how do you know that video of me was real? And maybe it wasn't. And there's this classic video, if you remember, of Donald Trump. He was in the Oval Office and someone threw something out the window of the Oval Office, and he was like, no, it must be fake, must be AI. And he went on this little bit of a chat around, how could the windows don't even open in the Oval Office? My wife was complaining, this can't be right, it must be AI. And then one of his colleagues came in and said, actually, it was someone painting or something, and it was real. And so his kind of message was, well, what a great excuse now, we could just say AI did it. So that is interesting. And then on the other side, we had in this country the BBC, and I'm going to use Donald Trump as another example here. They just picked two random bits of video, put it together, and said that was Donald Trump. And just so both sides, questionable. Well, how do you see this evolving? And how as individuals now, do we know? Is this really you that did that talk? Is that someone that's putting fake news out? I mean, it's a very minefield right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, imagine when you have one party say it's fake news, and then a member of that same party, I'm not being political here, just that same group, institution, say, "Oh no, it was real." And what are you supposed? I mean, how are you supposed to discern? We had a file that was sent to us by a news organization the other day. That was a audio file of a world leader ordering the assassination or murder of a dissident. Okay, and the person said it was fake. Right, the pictures of Puff Daddy in hallway kicking his girlfriend or beating, he said it was fake. You see it all over the place, right? And so because humans can lie and because lying can get you out of trouble, we have to go to truth at a different level. And we call that the human layer or the content layer. Okay, that's where I say earlier that the threat has moved from packets to pixels. You must confirm that the pixels accurately represent, are correct and trustworthy, a real event that happened in the 3D world. And this is where content is so interesting, because it is actually a process to go create something from 3D to put it in the 2D format. Gen AI is 2D from birth. And that's why our founding team of forensic scientists is so important, because you need to go in now and to authenticate any piece of media in the media itself. And so sometimes they'll say the threat has moved, the requirement has moved from moving away from reverse engineering malware back in the day when viruses were roaming data centers to reverse engineering content. Yeah. That's what our team does.
It's tough. Emmanuelle, because obviously you're a journalist. The whole career has been journalism, right? And for me, like growing up, I'd switch on the news at 10. We had the news at 10 in the UK. And Trevor McDonald was on ITV News at 10. And you believe, whatever's on there, I believe it. You see it, it's pretty much true. It's a video. The video I'm watching is completely true. What does this do for trust now? Are we is it just baseline zero trust? Everyone's a journalist now? I can get my phone up and be like, hey, what's going on? And what's your kind of view now on journalism and truth, and where are we at with all of this now?
Well, the point you made earlier about the liar's dividend is so relevant, and it's a term that was coined by Professor Danielle Citron, who studies misinformation, and I think this must have been maybe like 5 years ago. And if you think about deepfakes 5 years ago, or AI generated 5 years ago, it was not that good. And she was really coining that term when she was speaking about generally false content, false information. And I've been verifying and investigating visual evidence for over a decade. And back then it used to be just manipulated images, or maybe something cropped, or old images recirculating. And if you think of the liar's dividend today, which is essentially liars, or people who misrepresent the truth, now their ability to get away with it or to avoid it, because people are becoming more aware of AI generated content, and AI generated content is becoming so close to reality. I mean, had you asked me this question before Kling, it would have been a different answer. Now you look at Kling and you have, it's impossible for everyday people to be able to tell the difference between a real human-made piece of content and AI-generated content. Mm-hmm. There are tells, but we are inundated by it. I mean, it's not just that, there's so many things happening in our society, not only the loss in trust in media. And the case that you brought up with the BBC, that was editing, which was unethical journalistically, but it was editing. It wasn't like they broadcast, a AI-generated piece of content or whatnot. But everything from my point of view, everything always had to be verified, and always had to be verified visually. And there's a process to do that. And there is a similar process in forensics. But now we also need technology. Like it is a must. to have technology that helps us alongside those other disciplines. And also it's the fact that we're overwhelmed with content. If you go to Instagram, all you are starting to see is AI generated avatars. Like my feed is entirely full of that. So Matt and I talk about this all the time, the fact that, and I remember a year ago when I joined, I was saying how basically we're all losing our ability to tell, because it used to be one or two videos and now it's everything that we're seeing in our everyday life online is becoming an AI avatar. So we are being conditioned to accept it, right? Like imagine this generation growing up, like to them an AI avatar is going to be totally normal. So maybe an interview with an AI avatar will be normal, but for now it's absolutely not normal. Like you said, it feels dishonest. And also it's not disclosed, most importantly. And so that, all of these things are kind of happening in what we call a perfect storm of circumstances.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think AI avatars or AI content generally, I think it's fine. It's when it's dishonest and disingenuous, or when it's communicating something that's not true, or it's designed to influence people's way of thinking, young people, it's such a polarized world right now. So many people struggle to work with people who have different political views, or even support a different rugby team or American football team or whatever. It's when it's used by bad actors for that. I mean, for me, I've got a big problem with that.
This is a mental hack on people's perception ability. It is. And that's what it is. And you're going to get to a point where, I mean, look at the Super Bowl last night. Half the stuff on there was AI, right?
The ads or
the ads. Yeah, hopefully the game was AI because the Patriots lost. But put that aside, and so this notion of the content coming out of it's almost like there were more pictures taken with the iPhone than the cumulative total of photos before the iPhone release in the history of the world. That's what's going to happen with generative AI. There will be more content than is generative, than is taken by legitimate tools that are capturing 3D reality. And so this is the problem. You are now going to have to search and verify and authenticate the real more than you are to find the fake. Yeah. And that will happen in the next several years.
And are you both good with using AI to do that? So jumping on Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever LLM you like to use to verify the videos, cross-reference.
It's a tool.
Why not?
Why not? But this is at a most crucial point in time. This is the fox guarding the hen house. You can't have this creator of a fake verify a fake. It's no different than your point on the administration when they said that photo was fake. Oh, no, it was real. How do you know? Particularly, and by AI hallucinates. You go ask it anything, right? And actually, ChatGPT is getting pretty good with its conversational tone with me lately. I'm sort of like starting to get a bromance with it. But the problem is it speaks with authority always. I used to use an HP 12C calculator when I was working in banking a long time ago. I can barely live without my calculator. I can't do backhand math anymore. Kids don't get taught penmanship. They can't do penmanship. This is what's going to happen. The default trust in the entity, AKA machine, that's creating the trust issue, they're going to be merged. How can you trust the creator of something fake to tell you whether it's real or fake? That's like double jeopardy for society. And so until controls are put in, and by the way, criminal organizations and nation states won't give a rat's about controls.
No, yeah.
Or government regulation, right? Until that happens, in the next years, we've got to figure this thing out ourselves. And there's got to be independent technology companies like us and others to go do the authentication. Now, the problem is most of the other companies use under the hoods, the
models and
generative AI, and that's the problem. And that's why we have humans actually understand how to look for the breadcrumbs in this to actually give a more definitive opinion that's explainable, that should you have to go into a court of law and have defensibility, that it's there for you.
No, I like that. I mean, look, on regulation, I mean, if you look at China, Europe, US, they're all landing differently.
Yeah.
So the reality is you're not going to get one unified rules and regulations and so forth. So it's going to be a whole mishmash of stuff. But I'd like to think, if I put a little bit of an optimistic lens on it, I mean, not all LMs are made the same. They can be operated differently. And whether it's, you can all bundle it up as it's all going to be bad. I'd like to think not.
Yeah, but think about it. I mean, think about this, right? I mean, it's as a, and I mean this in a true sense, this is an oligarchy. Like, why should any of the LLMs have different approaches to things? Because their owners say they do.
Make money. Yeah, wow.
Money.
This is what happened. Now, why is the world banning social media for 16s and under? Because we now have in the rearview mirror implications after 10, 20 years of this type of stuff. And it's the same people that are pouring hundreds of billions of dollars of capital expenditure dollars to create these things that created the problem in the first place. And by the way, you'll never hear me bash big tech. I think there's so many wonders of it. What I'm bashing is the underbelly of amazing technology without controls. And that's a problem. And that's why things are equal, because the owners of these tech platforms have different opinions on what's good or bad.
No, I agree. So let's go on AI avatars. Do you know this lady, Fit Aitana?
Yes.
I'll
You were
what? You were.
I were speaking at Goldman Sachs. This is one of the first digital AI influencers created by a company in Barcelona.
Absolutely. Would you want to tell us a little bit? I mean, look, just for those that don't know, I think she was made by is it the Clueless.ai?
Yeah,
or that was
exactly. They're a company based out of Barcelona. I think I did interview them when I worked at ABC. Because they were one of the first companies to create an AI influencer. Was her, and then there's another one that's like very, very famous, but she
this lady,
particularly convincing. Obviously, the tech has gotten even much better than it did when I spoke about her 3 years ago now, maybe. Yeah, three or 2 years ago.
Incredibly real, right? I mean,
yes, but I find this to be dishonest, okay? Because when we were speaking about, this isn't built to deceive, but what's the purpose of having a fake person, an AI influencer? Like, one of the examples I presented was her at a spa, and a local spa had hired her to tout their facials. Like,
right.
This is not a real person. She doesn't really have that skin. How is it like? It's really deceiving, actually, because it's not like every photo says it's AI. And you're touting her at the gym, like she has this incredible body, incredible skin. You should sell, like, they're selling supplements, they're selling skincare. Like, that's deception. That's digital deception in a way, right? It might not be as overt as a spy, but I think for young people seeing this, it's also a problem for your mental health.
I think so. This lady, just to finish off, this lady I think was the OG.
She was the first one, Michaela, yeah.
This lady, yeah. Again, for those that don't know, I mean, she's done loads of brand deals. She
looks like an avatar, though, right? Yeah. She looks like an avatar. She doesn't look like
I'd say. I mean, if we pop in, but again, scrolling through your phone. Hey, if I didn't know, would I? I mean, it's still good. I mean, some of these comments are like, people are commenting as if it's a human.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every video now, when you were talking about the liar's dividend, every single video that I see, the comments are, I really hope this isn't AI. Like, if it's a really good video of, like, I don't know, a mom saving like their baby or something, they're like, I really hope this is an AI. And then if it's like a horrible video, they say like, I hope it's AI. Like, no one actually knows anymore online what's a real video or what's an AI generated video. It's absolutely confused.
So more broadly then, what do you two think of brands using AI influencers, and what does that mean for, like, I've got 3 daughters, I was telling you before, Emmanuelle, and they jump onto, and luckily they're not on social media yet, by the way, they're a bit too young. I'm holding out until at least 16, but they jump on, and it's like this lady who has got incredible skin, or was fat and it took her 6 months to get super thin, or whatever, whatever it is. What do you think about that?
Am I taking this one?
Yeah,
think about it. You're not letting your daughters online. I mean,
yeah,
it's irresponsible.
it's just part of an ecosystem that is unhealthy. Like your social media, I think it's, you could argue social media has, especially in the last few years, since people make money, humans can make money off of it. There is a certain level of deception, which is you're trying to present the best version of yourself, right? In a certain part of a certain class of influencers, you might be presenting the ideal family, the ideal children, like the ideal, and then through that sell skin care, tout brands that you don't necessarily align with. Like some human content creators are I hate that I have to say human now, actually. Some like that's crazy. Content creators now, there are some who are super honest, right? They're really trying to raise awareness for either a disability or struggles that they're having in their lives, or they use no filters. They're very transparent. There's great things about that, right? There are great things that social media can do about community. We've proven that, but now with AI influencers, like you said, and let me tell you, this is the most twisted thing. It is like sprouting like wildfire. Right now, it's like my feed is just every single account that is being created of extremely beautiful women. By the way, men are behind these, right? So it's men
Is it
creating.
only women? Is it only women avatars? Is anyone doing any men?
I've seen like one man.
Maybe I should get into that. Maybe I should get into
Let's
that.
get on that.
It's like one man. It's crazy. And they are making money. Like they are making money. They're teaching you how to make money on social media. And then it's also taking away business from humans who have been able to create a life by, creating content and educating others or et cetera. Like that is just going to disappear because some brands believe it's easier to just create their own AI avatar. There's less hassle than communicating with a human. But again, I don't know. I'm curious about this new generation. If they might just be smarter than everyone else and realize very quickly what it is. But I don't know why you would buy something from an AI avatar. That makes no sense to me from a brand perspective.
Two questions, Matt. Sorry, go on. You respond. Go on.
You can see regulations. It has to be regulations. New York City just passed a law around labeling. I mean, you go onto these commercials today, like this is a paid actor. It's not a real customer.
Yeah.
It's going to have to get to that point, And I think you're going to see a thirst like for human authenticity come from it.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm a little bit old school, but if some company was trying to hire me, said, hey, come and do a pre-screening with an AI avatar, it's like my time's not important. You're trying to sell on your side, but you want me to show up and spend an hour going through and talking to some, synthetic bozo? That wouldn't even go. You wouldn't even go do it. I think that's the question, though. Like the way that the synthetic beast is going to manifest itself will cross vertical segments and categories, and it's fascinating. But I think you're going to see people get back to. You see Gen X. I can't keep track of the gen, but you see newer generations going retro and old school in some ways in various formats, and I hope that continues because the authenticity of just day-to-day life is it's under attack, if you will.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think people love. I mean, humans love humans. Come on, and we crave this human connectivity, and it feels like I go back that. The question though, your kid comes up to you. They've just finished school or uni, let's say, and they're like, "Hey, mum, dad, I can make $200,000 a year creating AI avatars, making an Instagram account, and selling and making brand deals. Or should I go for the $40,000 a year job, stacking shelves at Walmart?" What would you advise they do?
And go back to school and learn a different trade.
Become a plumber. Anyway, but
exactly.
No, I think. Listen, I mean, I would not let my son do that at all. More for ethical reasons more than anything else. But obviously, let them do what they need to do. But hopefully, I would train them that was not the path. But it's hard, right? I mean, it's easy money. I mean, you look at some of these. The United States made being famous for nothing. Something, right? And you see these brands that are completely manufactured, and a lot of it's fake too, with real people. It's this blurring of AI as a tool with people with, the intent, Kardashians, right, to make a lot of money, but just by being famous. And for some reason, American society and increasingly global permits it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
The challenge is it becomes less of a choice when you're, in business and under attack and that type of thing, right? That's where your life.
But yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if you're a business and it's very cheap to create an advert with AI avatars. I mean, even films now. I mean, you won't need the cast and anything. You can have one person.
It's not. It's not like that. It's not like that good right now. If you're going to create a film, it's very good in. I will be, but it's very good in quality. It's very good in if you're embodying, right, using Kling, etc. But for film that's a different story. That's going to take a little bit, I think.
So do you think we'll end up there, or actually do you think it will be humans? We just resist going so far. We'll prefer the human interaction. We'll prefer to go to the theatre. We'll maybe companies will just say, hey, we're only using humans for this ad. Or is the train left the station now? And this is...
I think it's left the station. And the reason I do is that agentic AI is going to be here to stay. And there's incredibly powerful business justification for it. Putting aside the implications to society and the retraining that's required of the everyday people, but businesses are going to put this thing over the edge. It's going to take almost a revolt, by humans in society to reverse what is a trend that is going to play out. And so, we'll see how it goes, but I don't think it. I think that the train's left the station for sure.
Emmanuelle, where do you think we'll be? Maybe kind of towards the end of the year, this will continue.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the tech only get better, and like Matt said, there's no indication right now that there's anyone trying to stop the development of this technology or put in safeguards or any sort of guardrails that would prevent this from continuing as it is. And also, I'm not entirely convinced that people truly understand the implications of what's happening right now. Like, we're seeing drip drops of it online, and you might be talking about it at work or with your family, but I'm not sure. And that's why I did the video that I did. And that's why we're trying to talk about how good this tech is getting, and this, what types of threats are how it's being used to infiltrate companies, to impersonate politicians, to impersonate everyday people. I mean, the amount of scams that are happening, the amount of real people losing money every single day. We wake up to new notifications. That's only going to get worse. And that's, I think, the most frightening part of this technology, and the fact that there are no safeguards, right? Like, how is it that I can go on Hicksfield and I can impersonate anyone? Like, how is that not terrifying?
Now, Matt, take it one step further. I mean, you probably all saw OpenClaw out there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And that was a personal assistant created by an individual, right? That wasn't like, a business creating that. And so you are very close to having singularity between generative AI and agentic AI. When those two things happen, game over.
Yeah, and it's pretty much...
That kept me up like 2 nights ago. That kept me up. I was thinking about when you think about your kids, and you're like, what? I was like, what world is she gonna grow up in? And also the aspect of privacy. Like, how would she ever protect? How are we going to protect our privacy now that we have these AI agents and you don't know who's got them?
And just a slippery slope. Just to go back to recruiting for a second, right?
Yeah.
I mean, businesses have more money to actually throw behind this problem, but people are already using AI avatars to cull through top of funnel candidates. There's too many candidates applying. A lot of the candidates are fake, and they're using AI avatars to get through it. Now, once OpenClaw puts a face and a voice, on top of it, and I create my own personal assistant, I'm just going to say, hey, you don't value my time? I'm not showing up either. OpenClaw is going to come and sit down and have a coffee with you for the first interview. What are they going to say? I can't bring my avatar and they can bring their AI recruiter? And you're going to start verifying synthetic agents?
Yeah.
That's what you'll have. And so what do you have to go back to? It's integrity. if I can't do it, but you can do it, my time's not worth it, but yours is. I think that's where like humans start being like, okay, I crave authenticity, and
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
start very discerning in their choices on who they work with, who they, go where they go online, and
100%. The world will be both. I mean, you have, to your point, let's say kind of mid junior level, right? I mean, McKinsey get a million applications a year for grad jobs, and their grad jobs is decreasing. In the next 18 months, they want one human to one AI avatar.
Yeah,
Well, not even
saw that.
avatar, one agentic AI. So those jobs are going, right? But if you have a million applications a year, I mean, it's impossible for a human to go through, right? But you can certainly choose how you do it. And a lot of that's automated. LinkedIn have just released their sourcing agentic AI tool. So again, if you advertise on LinkedIn, it's like $2,000 a year, and it will screen. I think it will arrange interviews. I think they'll probably have a video avatar doing the interviews and whatever. But my point is, and I agree with you, Matt, is that you can choose to lean out of that.
Yeah.
In the UK, 80% of people work in SMEs, right? A lot of this kind of stuff is generally at the moment larger firms. Soon it will get really cheap and you can use it anywhere. But this human stuff, like still, why do you want to go play in a game where you're up against a million people? You might know. Let's say someone knows your son. They really want to get into this game, and he'll be like, "Dad, my mate is really keen. De-risks it for you. You'll probably hire him." Like this kind of old school human networks and networking and who and your network is your net worth still holds true today.
Yeah. Social media used to be cool. Now it ain't so much, right? Facebook used to be about kids. Now it's more about adults. These things change, and I think you will start seeing closed networks of humans, right? And then there will be some legitimate use of AI agents and avatars that are sanctioned for legitimate business use purposes. But I think we're going to go into sort of closed networks, right? Not these open networks. And I think that's where the power comes in. I'm going to deal with people I choose. I know a lot of people that have gotten off Facebook and started a new account were much more discerning about the people they were letting in and giving access to view and see, and that type of thing. I think you'll see that repeat out in this new world.
True. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. Appreciate your time and appreciate you sharing your thoughts. It's a crazy, crazy world right now, and what we're looking forward to. But I'm an optimist. There's a path through. There's a path through somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find it, I'm sure.